Starlink is bringing out new coastal coverage limitations that are going to frustrate a lot of cruisers who want to keep connected while on the water. Stay tuned for the details. Hi, I'm Chris with the Mobile Internet Resource Center here to give you yet another update on SpaceX's Starlink. And this one is particularly important for cruisers like us who like to use Starlink to keep connected while on the water. Now, a recent update to Starlink's Terms of Service and Frequently Asked Questions page has added new details to the Starlink Roam plan around coastal coverage. And these new limitations with coastal coverage are that people with the Roam plan can only be connected while on coastal waters for 5 consecutive days at a time and 60 days out of a calendar year. This is a new restriction. Up until now, most coastal area by Starlink was treated as land and got the same benefits as using a Starlink Roam plan on land, which meant unlimited all-you-can-use data, and well, it just worked until you got far enough out to sea that you had to switch to ocean data or priority data and start paying per gigabyte for it. So it made Starlink very, very flexible for cruisers. You can keep connected basically most places that most North American cruisers would go, up and down the coast, or you might be disconnected a bit while island hopping, but you're connected on your home continent on the water. Now there's this new term of coastal coverage that has restrictions. And well, what's going to happen if you go more than 5 days on a trip or more than 60 days in a calendar year? Theoretically, you will be cut off when you are on water. Now, what does SpaceX consider ocean, land, and coastal? Coastal is kind of a new term for them. In the past, they kind of divided the world up into land, obviously, and ocean, obviously, and then the space in between, basically everywhere that was near coastal or inland or everything like that, was considered by Starlink to be land. They've kind of rounded in favor of land. Now they seem to be kind of carving up this space in the middle, and they're making their maps much more precise. So instead of having kind of a big fuzzy area around every continent, they now say that, well, coastal coverage is all water areas from, the shoreline, out to 12 nautical miles from shore. Basically, the territorial waters of a given country are coastal, and they are now start tracking that differently. And if you're on the Roam plan, you'll now have limitations to how much time you could spend in coastal waters and keep connected. Now, the big question is, well, just how precise are these coastline boundaries, and what is it going to do for, inland waterways? Like, we're up the James River right now, and other places like that. Will rivers be counted as water? Will bays? Will everything else? Will harbors? Will marinas? Will anchorages? Now, SpaceX has made their online coverage map a lot more detailed, and it shows a lot of what near coastal area as black on the map, which their customer service reps are saying is what is considered water. So a lot of places now are defined as water, but a lot of other places aren't. So like looking at Florida, Lake Okeechobee is considered land on the Starlink map, but Lake George and the lower St. Johns River is considered water. The entire Mississippi River considered land. Great Lakes considered water. The Chesapeake, of course, is considered water. Most of the rivers going in and out of the Chesapeake are considered water, at least upstream a certain amount of the way, and then they become land. So will these be how they enforce things? And then, well, what about anchorages and the ICW and everything like that? A lot of the ICW seems to be showing as water on Starlink's map. Other parts are land. And well, then how precise will they enforce those boundaries? Well, marinas that are like on the map showing as water, because you actually will see the marina piers sticking right out into that black territory on Starlink's map. Will you be able to keep connected? Starlink customer service reps are being very inconsistent in answering questions about this right now. They say that, well, marinas, that's close enough to land. Marinas should be considered land, and we very likely assume that that will be within the rounding error of Starlink's tracking of what is land and water. But, well, what about anchorages? Some reps are saying, well, if the anchorage is a few hundred yards from shore, that's probably fine. Other reps have actually said that all anchorage areas or most anchorage areas will be considered water and will count towards these coastal coverage limits. So I think even SpaceX is kind of confused as to exactly how they'll be dividing things up and how tough things will be on the coast. So we're going to have to wait and see just how they enforce this to see just how big of an impact this will have. So when are they going to start enforcing this? Will they start enforcing this? Now, we know that there are major new changes to the Starlink roam plan that we've covered and reported on here before that go into effect on October 10th. This is when the price is jumping from $150 to $165 a month. And this is when the option to opt into mobile priority data when you are doing an ocean crossing or hopping between islands just when you need it for $2 a gigabyte, that option is being removed from the Starlink roam plans as of October 10th. So we assume if there's any other new changes or enforcements and stuff like that, that would seem to be the natural day that they start enforcing or tracking this coastal coverage limitation. We've had Starlink reps tell us that they will be adding your status in the Starlink app and on the Starlink web portal to show how many of your 5 days and 60 days per year you've used up. So they're theoretically going to be adding that. Once they add that to the app, we think enforcement will be coming soon after once they start tracking it. So we'll be paying attention starting October 10th to see what comes. Now, it does seem that overall Starlink is really trying to push the active cruising community who do need to stay connected more than 60 days a year towards the mobile priority plan. So from the $165 mobile roam plan, which they think is intended for RVers and land-based nomads, they want the boaters to be paying $250 a month for mobile priority. Now, this plan is in many ways basically the same as the land-based roam plan, but it comes with 50 gigabytes of priority data that you can use coastal, you can use on ocean and anything else, and it gives you global coverage and everything that you can travel in a lot of places. You could do things with this mobile priority plan, but it costs a lot more. And well, that 50 gigabytes that you're getting, that 50 gigabytes is used up. It's your first 50 gigabytes of the month. So if you're a dock for the start of your billing month and just using Starlink as normal, you will be burning through your 50 gigabytes. So by the time you're ready to cruise and ready to hop to someplace where you might need that coastal or ocean data, it will be gone and you'll have to opt into paying $2 a gigabyte for that data. So that's an understandable reason why a lot of boaters have been frustrated with the mobile priority option. It's more expensive, and well, that 50 gigabytes that you're supposed to be getting, a lot of them find that they are never able to actually take advantage of it because they can't control when that first 50 gigabytes is used. But well, now a lot of boaters are going to feel forced into that plan. But before you feel too forced into that plan, do keep in mind you do have alternatives. Starlink makes it easy to change your plans up and down, so you can dial into mobile priority only when you need it, or only when you've finished using up your limitations of your roam plan, or only during your prime cruising season. And well, also keep in mind you have another alternative, and that is cellular. Pretty much everywhere that Starlink considers coastal coverage, you can get cellular coverage as well, particularly if you have an antenna mounted up on your radar arch, the same place you would have a Starlink mounted. If you have a good cellular antenna and a cellular router, you can often get cellular coverage all the way out to that 12 miles offshore and almost all of the intercoastal waterways and everything else. So cellular is a great option to consider, particularly if you're feeling forced into a more expensive Starlink plan that you want. But anyway, that's the latest on the changes Starlink seems to be making to their terms of service and FAQs and Starlink roam plan. We know a lot of boaters are already really upset and disappointed and concerned about these changes, and there is a lot of uncertainty. So we'll be paying close attention come October 10th when these new plans and new terms seem to be likely to be being enforced. We'll be looking for reports of enforcement, and we will keep our audience updated. And of course, all of our members over at the Mobile Internet Resource Center, we go a lot deeper in our forums, and we'll be sharing more about that there. We also already have some tips published on ways to optimize and balance your Starlink plan to avoid feeling forced into that more expensive plan. So if you're interested, come over and join us at the Mobile Internet Resource Center. Otherwise, stay tuned and see you out there.
These videos are brought to you by our premium members, our mobile internet aficionados. They make it possible for us to track this news and create these videos. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, or better yet, consider becoming a member yourself.